Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another 80s Golden Age of Comedy. I'm your host, Bruce Starr, and when I do these shows, I'm one lucky dude, I'll tell you, because I get to either reconnect with so many of the comedians that I represented back in the 80s when I was literally almost every night at the Improv, and some of the nights at the Comedy Store on Sunset, and the Improv on Melrose in Hollywood. And I got to know and work with some phenomenal stand-up comedians. Also got to know some great directors, screenwriters, producers. And along the way, with the help of my publicist, Stephen Joyner, he has introduced me to several people that have really made a huge difference in the show. And today is one of those days. I'm very excited to have on a character actor that if you are a Grease fan, and let me tell you, there's not that many shows other than Grease and Family, Happy Days, All in the Family. There's not that many shows that are real Americana. Things, movies that people have embraced, not just in this country, but around the world. And the movie Grease is one of those movies that's just been so embraced. And they keep putting out live versions and anniversary versions, and it's just been great. And one of the great character actors in that show is Eddie Deezen. Eddie, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming by the 80s Golden Age of Comedy.
My pleasure, Bruce. Thank you for having me.
So, Eddie, tell me, I like people to learn all about who you are way before there was any success in the business. So can you tell us where you were born, where you were brought up, and what your family life was like? And did that have an effect on you to either push you out the door for show business or encourage you towards it?
Okay, I was born in 1957, so I'm 64 now. I was born in a little town called Cumberland, Maryland. When I grew up, Bruce, it was a growing town. It was thriving. It was second to Baltimore in the state of Maryland. Now it's gone. It's definitely shrinking now. It's getting less for whatever reasons. I grew up in a little town, a suburb called LaVale, Maryland. My family, I got along great with Mom. I love Mom very much. My brother and sister, I got along with pretty good. Dad and I did not get along that well. So who knows? Maybe that pushed me to the show. Because we want to psychoanalyze, we want to get Freudian or Pavlovian or whatever, Pavlovian. Maybe that had to do with me getting in the show, because I don't know. Maybe it did. I couldn't really do anything else. I went to school. I was pretty lost. I was pretty lost as a kid. So this was pretty much my only recourse.
So tell me about what you were like in, say, junior high school and high school. And did you have any idea, any clue that you might want to be in show business?
Yeah, I was a class clown. I was always a class clown, even from my earliest days. Kindergarten, I was separated from the other kids. As early as kindergarten, I was like 4 or 5 years old. They'd separate me from the other kids. They'd sit on the steps. I was always clowning, goofing around, and the teacher would throw me out of class, sit on the steps. I spent my whole kindergarten career, 2 years, sitting on the steps outside the class. I couldn't mix with other class. First grade, my teacher would tie me in my chair. I was always running around. It was hyperactive. My teacher, Miss Smith, would literally get a jump rope. She'd tie me in my chair. I was always running around. I was pretty maniacal or manic as a kid, like that. Second grade, I was in trouble. Teachers weren't crazy about me. So, yeah, that kind of led to it. I was kind of like, I was always kind of a goofball, kind of a clown. So it definitely led to me being into comedy. And Bruce, when I saw, I guess all comedians have the same story in this. We all saw the comedians we love in the movies and on TV. And I watch the Three Stooges every night. Love the Marx Brothers, love Laurel and Hardy, love Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis, love Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton. And these all, just wait a minute, these are my heroes. This is what I love. This is what I want to do. So that kind of pushes you into it. And then you kind of try to develop a character of your own, after that, after you see them. But that definitely pushes you into it.
So what was the first thing that you did that you said to yourself, I really want to be in show business? This is not some sort of, crazy desire. I want to be a baseball player, or, some people want to be firefighters. What was that first thing that you did that you said, I want to be in show business?
You know what was the catalyst, Bruce? I think because I did, like all kids, I did want to be a baseball player and all, but I was hopeless. I was about as good as the average 8-year-old girl. Growing up, I wanted to be Billy Mays, Mickey Mantle. You wanted to be these heroes, Sandy Koufax, and I would dream about that and all. But it was a pipe dream. It was ridiculous. I couldn't do that. So then the catalyst was, to answer your question, there was definitely a catalyst. Even though I had a lot of the early comedians then, it was when I was 16. I started watching the Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis movies, and I saw him, and I just got hooked. And I saw this guy, Jerry Lewis, that Jerry Lewis, not the later Jerry Lewis, but the one with Dean Martin. And I go, this guy's skinny like me. He's Jewish like me. He talks kind of weird like me. He acts goofy like me. I just worshiped the guy. I loved him so much. I'll tell you later about what happened when I actually met Jerry Lewis. It's not that basic story, but at that time, he was like God for me. It was like, I found it. This is like a person, a Christian finding religion. He finds Jesus. This is how I felt when I discovered Jerry Lewis in 1973.
Hey, that's really great to be able to find a character that you can kind of help you focus your way as you went along. And not that many people could find that person. So that must have been a really big help to have someone in show business that you can say, this is not such a long, big leap. Here's a guy doing it, and I'm kind of just like him. And there's more room for than just one guy like that in the world. I bet you were thinking something like that.
Yes, but remember, Bruce, you've been involved in show business for ages. Remember, everybody thinks that. Everybody getting in these show business thinks, the girls, I'm going to be the new Marilyn Monroe, or I'm going to be the new Meryl Streep, and it doesn't work that way. But you're right, that is what kind of went through my head. But remember, it's not that simple in show business. We all think that. Tens of thousands, millions of people think that every year, and they come to Hollywood. I'm going to be the new James Dean. They see Rebel Without a Cause. Hey, I'm going to be the new James Dean. I'm going to be the new this. I want to be like this. Every one of us, we all have our heroes, our mentors, and we get into it. I lucked out. I got into films early, so I lucked out. But that is what happened to me. But yeah, I was terribly naive. I was very green, when I went. I was so green, Bruce, when I came to Hollywood. Okay, I came to Hollywood when I was 18. I came after high school graduation. Literally, I called up studios. I looked, Paramount Studios called. Hi, you need a good comedian? You need me to be in your movie? I literally would say that. This is how naive and green I was. Such an idiot. And it's a miracle that the women didn't hang up on me or get angry. They were always very nice. Son, you have to get an agent, you have to get pictures made and send your pictures made. You have to go on these things called auditions. I didn't know any of this. I thought I'm funny, so I'll go in the movies, but that's how naive I was.
So what was the next step? So did you listen to what they told you to do?
Well, I think I did. I tried to get an agent. It was hard. I couldn't get in the union. The union thing is with movies is it's the catch-22. I can't work unless I'm in the union, and I can't be in the union unless I'm working. So it's a catch-22. But I beat that with Grease, luckily. But we can go into the Grease audition later. But the first thing I did, Bruce, is I started working at the Comedy Store. I did stand-up there, and I did good in the one in Hollywood. I did good. I got good last. Then Mitzi, the owner, Mitzi Shore, who's the mother of Pauly Shore, she said, we're going to move you to Westwood, try it in Westwood. I went to Westwood, and I just bombed. I went in, crickets, I did my they applaud. Sure, but will you respect me in the morning? That was my opening line, crickets, and my whole act was crickets. And then I just said, this isn't for me. I don't like doing this. Then later on that year, I did the Gong Show. I don't know if you remember the Gong Show with Chuck.
Well, I one of my closer, not friends, but Murray Langston, the unknown comic.
Sure, he was great.
I've known him and been out on the road with him since the middle 80s. And, he did 150 Gong shows, and he's done my show. He was
a very funny guy. He had some really funny jokes. Yeah.
So how was the Gong Show for you?
It was good. Chuck Bersley couldn't have been nicer. He was a really nice guy. I did my act, okay? Paul Williams gonged me. I'll tell you this story about that. Paul Williams gonged me on the Gong Show when I was taken away. Now, that's like 25 years later, Bruce. I'm at an audition. I had like a bigger audition. I was doing a voiceover job. Who's there on the couch? Paul Williams. 25. I go, Mr. Williams. I go, hi, I'm Eddie Deezen. I don't know if you remember this, but I was on the Gong Show 25 years ago, and you gonged me. And he goes, please forgive me. You got to forgive me. I go, what do you mean? He goes, you got to forgive me. I hope you find it in your heart to forgive me. I go, Mr. Williams, it was the Gong Show. It was a lark. So, of course I forgive you. It was a big deal. He goes, I'm an Alcoholics Anonymous now. I'm an Alcoholics Anonymous. We have to apologize to anybody who we've hurt over the years. So he was sincere. He was really apologizing. I go, of course I forgive you. It was no big deal. But anyway, as I was going off, Paul Williams told me, JP Morgan was there. And she yelled out, we love you, Eddie. And that kind of made me feel better. She said, we love you, Eddie. And I got taken off. Anyway, Bruce, the closing credits run, the acts would all come on. They go, da 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 da. And they play the Gong Show theme. And Chuck Barris walked over to me. He goes, Eddie, you got a good little actor. You got a good thing. He goes, keep at it. You're going to be good. You're going to do fine. And he said some really nice things. But Chuck Barris was like the first, he was like a celebrity. He was the first celebrity that was really kind to me. And he said that, and it made me feel better.
So what did you do after that? Because then, things
Then
start getting a little more serious to you, I'm sure.
Yeah, then I got Grease. I got in May of '77. I auditioned for Grease. I had this terrible agent.
Well, hold on. Let's back up, because that's the story I want to hear about. Okay. Where, what'd you do after the Gong Show, and how long was it until you got?
The Gong Show was November of '76. And I was out for about 2 years before the Grease thing. And you'd say, what did I do? I just goofed off. I get everything. My dad was very kind. He sent me $400 a month, which was nothing. This is the mid '70s. So my rent was like $100 a month. And I would pay that, and I'd live on that. Dad would send me a $400 money order every month. I lived on that, just goofing off. I just go out. I go look at the girls. I go to the malls. I go to the beach, ride the bus around, go to the libraries. I was a shoplifter. I was not an ethical person in those days. I am now, but I was not an ethical person. I would steal books. I would go steal books in bookstores, and I would sell them and make money that way. Put them under my shirt. I'd stick books under my shirt. And this is the years before they had, every store's electronic now. But they didn't have that in those days. So I would just steal books. Just go steal books, and I'd sell them, and I'd make money. That's pretty much what I did.
Wow. It's a good thing that 7-year thing has elapsed. That 7 years.
Yes. The statute of limitations. Yes. Yeah. You're right.
So
otherwise I'm in the clink. Right?
I wouldn't be talking to you now.
Yeah.
All right. So let's walk through. I like the small steps.
Okay.
So you started auditioning. Grease couldn't have been the first place you auditioned for.
No, I auditioned for a guy called this is the strangest thing you ever heard. I forget what it was for. It was for some TV thing. There was a guy that used to be around named Talmadge Spratt. That was my first audition. His name was Talmadge Spratt. And I went in. I got an agent called Regina Penright. There was a magazine, Bruce. I don't know if you know. It was called Dramalog.
Sure.
Yeah, they said need an agent. So I go, okay, So I went in the stage. I wasn't even in the union, and she took me on as an agent. She was my first agent. Her name was Regina Penner. Oh, I gave her name away, so it doesn't matter. But I don't know if she's even still around. But she got me the Grease audition. And she sent me to an audition for Talmadge Spratt. I forget what it's called, but I didn't get that. That was my first audition.
So walk me through that whole Grease process, literally from the time you walked into the office, what the auditions were like.
Okay. And the one audition, I'll tell you, but this has a very religious connotation. Again, if I always say this, if you're religious, it's an incredible religious story. It's an epiphany. It's a great religious story. If you're an atheist or an agnostic, you'd say it's just a total coincidence. But anyway, Regina sent me out on an audition for Grease. They were looking for a guy called Eugene. Even though I wasn't in the union, she sent me in. So I put on my suit. I put Brill cream in my hair. I got some Brill cream. I put it in my hair and slicked it down. Eugene would not have that. I put it in like on one of the creases. I was so stupid. I knew. So I put Brill cream in my hair. I wore a little suit. I went into Paramount Studios. We went in for the first time. It was a huge cattle call, Bruce. There was all these guys dressed like Fonzie, and there's all the guys T-shirt, James Dean, and Rebel Without a Cause. They look like that. And there were a bunch of girls with poodle skirts and saddle shoes. And I was the only geeky guy. I looked like early Pee Wee Herman. By the way, Pee Wee, I think, got his suit from me in Grease. If you look at Pee Wee Herman's suit, it looks exactly like my suit in Grease. Pee Wee and I were friends before he became Pee Wee Herman, and I think he got a suit from me. But that's besides the point. He's a great guy, so I don't know.
Paul Rubens.
He's a wonderful, nice guy. But anyway, going to the audition, it was Alan Carr was there, the producer. Very nice guy. The casting director, Joel Thurm, Mr. Thurm, and the director, Randall Kleiser, who's a wonderful guy, super nice guy. So I went in, Eugene had like 4 lines in the script. I literally had like 4 lines. So I'm reading my lines and all, hi, I'm Eugene or something. And I noticed they were nudging each other. They were nudging each other back where they kept, and I go, that's a good sign. As an actor, if you see them nudging each other, that's a good sign. So I was kind of reading, but I could see out of the corner of my eyes, they were nudging each other. Anyway, they called me up a couple of days later. They just said, look, they want you in Grease. You're hired as Eugene. They're going to pay. They're going to get you in the union. You have to roll.
One interview?
After one interview. So remember, it was a very small role. It was like 3 or 4 lines. So what do you need?
Okay.
So I did that. Anyway, here's the religious part. I go into the audition. I got it. Okay. So I called my family. I'm going to do this movie with John Travolta. It's called Grease. And I told everybody. I was real excited. I didn't have hardly any friends, but I know I told my family. Whatever friends I had, I told them. I told everybody. Told him at the hotel, I'm going to be in Grease. A couple of days later, my agent calls me again. Eddie, the role Eugene was very small movie. They decided to cut it out of the movie. You're out of the movie. They're not going to use Eugene. He's not going to be part of the movie. So I'm like, this is the worst thing that could happen. It's terrible. So my agent says, come on, I'm going to pick you up. We're going to go for a ride. So she comes over and picks me up. We're going to go to church. What? takes me to church. The church is still there. It's on Hollywood and Vermont Avenue. See, it's called Our Mother of Good Counsel Church. You go to Hollywood and Vermont and go out, you'll see it's at the House of Pies. Anyway, we go in. She goes, we go into the church. I go, I'm Jewish. I can't go. She goes, come on. It's the first time I've ever been to church. So I go into church with my agent. We go by an altar. She goes, we're going to light candles and pray. What? Graham, do this? Okay, so da-da-da. So we lit candles and pray. We lit it, and I really prayed. I said, please let something good happen out of this. Please, something good. We both pray. Anyway, Bruce, I swear to God, either the next day or it was maybe like a day or two later, very soon after, I get another call by me. Guess what? They put the role of Eugene back in Greece. You're back in. They hired you to get to the movie. Now, again, a religious person will say, oh, you prayed. It was religious. It's a religious story. An atheist or an agnostic, no, it's a total coincidence. You just lucked out. So that's a true story. You can view it however you want, but it's a true story.
Wow. Now, I have a feeling that you got more than 4 lines in that movie.
Not really. But remember, I throw the pie. It goes, oh, the guy says, you're good. And I go, thank you. And he goes, what's your name? I go, it's Eugene. And then the guys are messing with me on the stairs. John Travolta and the T-Birds are messing my glasses up, and all that. And he goes, I go, hey, leave me alone. I got astigmatism or something. But he has no more than 4 lines. Eugene doesn't have that many lines. You see him dancing around in the dance. You see me bopping around, and I do walk down the stairs, and I get hit with a pie, and I wave goodbye at the end, and that's about it. It's not a big role. I think the reason people know me is because I look different than everybody. All the other guys are cool, and all the other guys are like James Dean, Fonzie, and I'm like this guy in his suit, this geek.
So for something like that, I mean, listen, I went out there green as could be, and I would go to the studios and try. Not that I snuck on, but I'd have a meeting, and I walked all over the studios. My eyes were wide open.
How did you get in, Bruce?
Well, I needed a job. I remember going down to MGM. I'll tell you a quick story. My sister knew someone who worked at MGM at the time. It's Sony, and who knows what it's called now. And so there was so much traffic usually that I left like an hour earlier, and there was no traffic. And I had like 45 minutes until my meeting. And I remember walking around, and over to the right was a big, big studio. And on the top, it said Fame. So the TV show Fame was filming there. Mm-hmm. And I remember walking around and going, oh my God. I mean, it's almost like you just breathe it in. You're breathing in history. Mm-hmm. Tell me what it was like breathing in that whole experience. If the more stories you can tell, the better about what went on when.
Well, I got a million Grease stories. I got so many. I could do an hour on Grease stories easy alone because it was such an incredible experience. First of all, the cast was so nice. The crew was so nice. The dancers were all nice. And remember, Bruce, this we have to remember about Grease. I was the oddball. I was the outcast. Everybody else in the cast and crew was experienced. Everybody else recently had done movies, they'd done Broadway, stage. I'd done nothing. I was basically off stage. My whole experience was I'd done the Gong Show. That was my resume then. Went into Grease. Everybody was so nice. John Travolta was so nice. John Travolta would call me buddy every day. How are you, buddy? Come over and shake my hands, buddy. Now you see me in my first scene in Grease. My first scene in Grease, Eugene comes out and I go hi, and the T-Birds mess with me. They mess up my shirt, they mess up my glasses. God, John would come over every take. Are you okay, buddy? He'd make sure I was okay after everything. He's such a kind man. Are you all right, buddy? They didn't upset you, did they, buddy? And he did 4 or 5 takes, whatever the scene. And John, between every take, would make sure I was okay. Wow. Tremendously kind man. Olivia, I only talked to once. We were goofing around on the Paramount stage. We were on the sound stage. We were walking around. We had some free time. And a bunch of us were walking around. There were like 4 of us. And there was a red convertible there. And we hijacked the convertible. Somebody had left keys in a red convertible. We go, let's take this and go for a spin. So we did. The 4 of us got in and we drove around the Paramount Studios. We were joyriding around. We took somebody's red convertible. And after the ride, Olivia was in the front seat, passenger seat. I was in the back seat, passenger seat. And after the ride, Olivia turned to me. She goes, you're funny. It was the only time Olivia ever spoke to me the whole time. So I spoke to her. Jeff Conaway was the cast member I was afraid of. Everybody else I loved. Everybody else was nice. Jeff Conaway was a bit sinister. He, if you see his character in the movie, he's like kind of an evil character, a little bit sinister, kind of tough. But whereas John was a nice, kind, gentle man, Jeff was a little bit off kilter. So he's gonna. But anyway, Jeff tried to get me laid. He tried to get me laid with a hooker. I was a virgin and I was scared to death. And Jeff said, "I'm going to get you laid." Supposedly, Jeff called up a hooker. He was trying to have a hooker by the Paramount to get me laid to lose my virginity, but it never happened. But I remember how scared I was. I was in my dressing room getting me a hooker. I was really scared. The cast was just so nice, so wonderful. Every one of them was special. The dancers, every one of them was so nice, so wonderful. Randall Kleiser couldn't have been nicer. Great first director. And this was his first film. Shows how talented he was. Grease was the guy's first film, and look what he did. He knocked it out of the park. So he's a great director. It was just a joyous experience. Anyway, here's another one, Bruce. Every day I would, I was a nobody. I was just hired. I would take the bus. We started filming Grease in Venice High School. Now I lived in Hollywood. Venice is like it's about an hour and a half bus ride there, 2-hour bus ride. Every morning I would get up like at 3:30 or 4 in the morning, literally, and take the bus down there. My call time was like 6, I'd get in and go to makeup and all. Then we'd wrap, at 5 or 6. I'd take a 2-hour bus ride home. It's amazing I did it, but I was 20, when you're 20, I was excited it was my first film. And when you're 20, you're strong physically. I can do it. I can never do it now. But anyway, I took the bus home all those days and took the bus there. One day I get the makeup after like doing this for 2 weeks. I'm in makeup and I'm telling people I did this. So Dennis C. Stewart, he plays Craterface, the bad guy in the movie. He races John at Thunder Road. It's like the mean guy. But he goes, Eddie, you take the bus every day. I go, yeah. He goes, not anymore. I'm giving you a ride every day. So every day, this nice guy would come and pick me up in my place in Hollywood, and we'd drive to the set together. He did it through the whole time. Now, Dennis, sadly, was a sad figure. He was one of the first AIDS victims. He died like in the mid-80s. He was the first of the Rydell kids to die. He passed away. He got AIDS in like 1986, and he passed away. So that was sad. Anyway, I would still have to take the bus home. Dennis would give me a ride to the set, but I'd take the bus home. Anyway, somebody at Paramount saw this. They go, you're taking the bus home? I go, yes, sir. He goes, no, you're going home with Sid Caesar. Oh! Every night after that, yes, I'm in the back of the limo. Our driver was named Kirk. And he goes, look, everything's okay, but don't say anything unless Mr. Caesar speaks to you. Don't say a word. Okay, so every night we get in the car, Sid would get in the front seat, I'd be in the back, and I'd sit there like an idiot. And Sid would pontificate. Sid was a very intelligent guy. He would talk to the driver and all that. He'd talk about the Goths and the Visigoths, raiding the villages. I remember, and all this history, the Gauls and the Vandals and all, they'd come and rob. And he'd talk about all this. He was a very intelligent man. I'd sit in the back like an idiot. So one day, it only happened one time, Sid turned around to me for whatever reason. He goes, oh, you're the water boy, huh? I was like the water boy in the film. I had a scene that was cut out, but I carry the water in. He goes, you're the water boy, huh? And I go, yes, sir, Mr. Caesar. I said something insipid, and that was the only time I talked to Sid Caesar. But that was how I did. Craterface would drive me to the set. I'd film all day, and I'd go home with Sid Caesar at night. The limousine would drive. We had a long black limo. They'd drive up in the mountains to Sid's mansion, his $1 million mansion. He dropped Sid off. Then they take me back to my $100 a month apartment and my dump, and they drop me off. We did that every night.
That's a great story, man.
Yeah.
Wow. So did anything happen around you that nobody else would ever know? Anything that happened around you while you were on set that, just is not known? Just how many days work did you get?
2 months. I wasn't there every day, but as small as my role is, I was there pretty much for 2 months. Like, for instance, when they filmed Grease Lightning, I was off. I'm not involved in a lot of scenes, but it was 2 months interspersed. I was there. Oh yeah, my last day, Bruce. I'll tell you about my last day on the set. My last day on the set was August 2nd, 1977. The last day of the set, we're filming the carnivals. The carnival. So Mr. Carr, Alan Carr, Randall Kleiser, the director, and Joel from the cast, they all come up to me, Eddie, can you be on this tilt-a-whirl thing, this spinning? It's one of these spinny rides. They buckle you in and they spin it around. They whip you around. Can you do this for the last scene? We want you in this scene. I go, look, I get bad motion sickness. Please don't mind this. I'd rather not. They go, oh, come on, we'll just do a quick shot. We're going to buckle you in. So finally, they convinced me, all right, I'll do it. So they buckled me into this thing. They whipped me around for about 5 minutes off. I get off the thing. I'm so woozy. So we're in the middle of a field, like a pasture. So I walked into it and I threw up. I literally threw up in the middle of the field. This was my last day on Grease. I heaved up. I blew chunks the last day on the field, the set. That was my last day. And I felt nauseous. I went home and I went unconscious. I collapsed. That was my last day on Grease.
So now that we're talking about the last day, you do something for 2 months. Everybody feels like family, except for the 1 or 2 people that didn't. Everybody treated you beautifully.
Yeah, and I think we were a big family. That you see it in Grease. We all loved each other. There was a great love between that cast and all the dancers. We all loved each other, and it's still there.
So what an incredible experience to have. And then there's that last day that you have to say goodbye, knowing this first Hollywood family. First of all, did you have any idea how big this was going to be when you were making the movie?
here's what I say. Everybody always says, no, you didn't know how big Grease would be. I kind of thought it'd be, remember, John Travolta was a huge star at the time. John Travolta was like James Dean and Marlon Brando combined. And he was so huge. Like, there's nobody to compare him to now. There's not Ryan Gosling, George Clooney, Brad Pitt are all huge superstars. But how big John Travolta was in 77, after 79, he was like the biggest thing you could imagine. There was nothing near as big now. So I figured, okay, we got John Travolta. Grease, everybody knows this popular hit. So I figured, yeah, we're going to be a smash hit. Maybe I was naive, you know, because Bruce, I think everybody, when they get in their first film, they think it's going to be a hit. You don't know what a bomb is. You just think, I'm going to do a film, and let's see, The Wizard of Oz is a film, and Gone with the Wind is a film, and On the Waterfront film, so it's going to be a famous film, you know. You don't know. And Grease was like that. Grease was like On the Waterfront and Gone with the Wind and Wizard of Oz. It was a legendary film. So I just lucked out. But to answer your question, yeah, I thought it was going to be a big hit.
What about that last day? Because here's your first Hollywood family away from home. You're not the most outgoing, popular guy in the world, and it's not easy for you to make friends, as you said. And here you were, pretty quickly having a success that's going to turn into a great success, and then you had to say goodbye to everybody.
Yeah. To be honest, I don't remember that so much. I remember the friendships on the set, how wonderful everybody was, how nice. You know, by the way, that I forgot to tell any other interviewer. You said, here's something you never told anybody. It's not a sinister secret, but it's something I've never told. You know who's like my best friend on the set? I swear to God that I talked to her every day, and we were really close. Annie Travolta. John, I think it's either John's older sister, younger sister, but we got to be really close pals. I haven't talked to Annie since that summer of 77. I haven't seen her talk to her, but if she happens to see this, I say hi to her. We were really close pals, and I loved Annie Travolta. We were really close friends. Wow. Yeah, so I do remember that. It just cropped up in my mind. But anyway, Bruce, to answer your question, to say goodbye, Bruce, I don't remember saying goodbye to anybody on that one. I remember leaving the set. I remember walking the field. I remember throwing up, but I don't remember saying goodbye to everybody. I just don't.
So then there's that next day where you're not getting in a bus or you're not getting picked up and you're not going to work.
Right.
Do you remember that next day?
Not necessarily the next day, but I remember in the next couple of days, you had the feeling this is cool. I'm in a movie. Okay, I'm in a movie. And you get that joyful weight that is coming out. When you're in a movie and you feel like it's really a cool movie, you get this couple months lull period, as any actor does. And you go, I got this movie coming out. It's a great feeling. It's kind of like, you know, I have a date with Sophia Loren, but it's not, you know, let's say it's March. I have a date with Sophia Loren in August. So you go, for a couple months, I have a date with Sophia Loren coming up. You know, this is really cool. And you look forward to it. So I knew it was something to look forward to. Grease didn't come out. We wrapped in August of 77, and Grease didn't come out until June of 78. It was almost a year. Wow. So for that year, I had this happy feeling of this is Grease. Now, when Grease did come out, I got almost all cut out. There was so much to be cut out. But I was green. I didn't know what the cutting room floor was. I go, I did all this funny stuff, and I had a lot more, but it was almost all cut out in Grease. And you know, I talked to Mr. Kleiser, and he goes, yeah, you know, this happened. I'm sorry. He was a nice man. He goes, I'm sorry it's happening, but this is John and Olivia's thing. You know, people want to see John and Olivia. That's why they want to see Grease. They don't want to see Eugene. They don't care. So we had to cut out a lot of your stuff, and they did.
So you have this 8, 9 months, 10 months. I know you just kind of told me what that was like, but tell me a little bit more, because did you try to work? Did you?
Yeah, there was more work. In 77, I did 3 films. My first year, I did Grease in 77. Grease, I did June through August. Right after Grease, I got a real B movie called Laser Blast. It was a low budget science fiction film. It's the only movie I literally die in. Literally, this is casting against type. But in Laser Blast, I played the bully's little friend. It wasn't a comedy. It was a sci-fi film. I played the bully's little friend, and we literally rape a girl. The guy rapes a girl, and I'm there cheering him on. I played Froggy, and I'm cheering him on, and I jumped on the girl. Literally, I remember being on the couch. She goes, "Jump, Eddie," and I jumped on her, and we raped this girl. I don't know if we finished the act in the movie, but we raped this girl, and we get blown up in a car later. My friend Chuck and I are riding in a car, and the car gets blown up. So it's the movie I die in. That I worked on for 3 days. I had a crush on the script. Her name was Betty Goldberg. I had a big crush on her. Now, sadly, again, this is sad. In Grease, we had Dennis C. Stewart, Crater Face. He got AIDS and passed away early. The star of Laser Blast, sadly, he was another AIDS victim. AIDS was, you know, really going in those days. And this guy's name was Tim Milford. And he got AIDS and died shortly after. So he died very young. He was the star of Laser Blast. But anyway, Bruce, if you see there's a Mystery Science Theater. They did a satire of Laser Blast. They did a jokey version, and it's way better than the movie. See the Mystery Science Theater version of Laser Blast. It's worth seeing. The movie is a jerk. Bad. Anyway, Bruce, I had a third film in that year. I went in an audition for a film called I Want to Hold Your Hand. They were looking for a Beatles fan. So, I played myself. I'm the world's biggest Beatles fan. So I went in an audition. I had literally the most auditions I've ever had. I auditioned 9 times. I went and auditioned 9 times with 9 different girls because my partner in the film was a girl. It was me and this girl. And it turned out to be a wonderful girl named Wendy Jo Sperber. Sadly, Wendy Jo died young. She got cancer and she died in 2005. But I went in and I read with a bunch of different girls and I had 9 auditions and I got this role called I Want to Hold Your Hand. Now, this was the first film Steven Spielberg ever produced. And it was also the first film directed by Robert Zemeckis, who later put me in The Polar Express. Best director I ever worked with. So I got to work in I Want to Hold Your Hand, and it was great. I played a Beatles fan, and that was a really fun film.
Wow. So was your agent helpful in getting you these roles? Now that you had
they got me the audition. They got me the audition.
Yes,
that's what they get. The agent gets you the audition, and they can't do much after that, unless they're close to somebody and they go, Spielberg, can you do me a favor, put this guy in a movie? It didn't happen like that. These were pretty much this audition and I got it.
Yeah. And you didn't even do it as the character actor like Eugene. You played different roles.
This was the closest role I ever played to me. I'm just a Beatles fanatic. Look at this, I got Dirk Paul walking. I'm looking at this book on John Lennon. That's me. That's how excited I get about the Beatles, because I do love the Beatles and I played myself. It was cool. And when the movie finished, when we wrapped, we did a promotional tour in New York. And we got to stay at the Plaza Hotel. We stayed where the Beatles stayed. And we stayed in the Beatles suite. It couldn't have been cooler. So we got to stay in the Beatles suite that they stayed in '64 when they came to America.
Wow. So now, the other super interesting thing is, let's walk ourselves up to literally the day of the big movie comes out.
Grease,
Tell me about what that was like the few days before, and how much they wanted you to be a part of it, and what did you?
Well, they invited me to the premiere. It was a Man Chinese theater. I think it was called Roman Chinese Theater in the day. But I went to the movie. I went to the premiere. I took my best friend Freddie and my cousin Dan came with us. So we're there at the premiere, and I was real excited. And then the movie came out, and I was crushed. Because again, like I told you, I didn't know what the cutting room floor was. I figured I'm going to have a pretty big role. I thought I had not a co-star, because I knew I wasn't that big, but I thought I had 8 or 9 scenes, because I did a lot when we were filming that they cut out. A lot of gags, there was a scene in The Water Boy. I was the water boy and Lorenzo's running. He steps in a bucket. And I tried to pull the bucket off, and we did some shtick together. That was funny. There were some funny scenes, but they cut it all out. So I saw the premiere, and I was all cut out. I didn't know. So I was disheartened. And I remember I went to the party, not the rap party, but the party we had at Paramount afterwards, and I was really sad. And I was depressed after the premiere. It used to depress me for a long time, and then I grew to love it. But when I first saw it, I go, oh my God, you cut me on it. It's how any actor feels when they get cut out of a movie. It hurts.
Well, especially if you have just a few lines that you thought you did really well with.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make any sense. But they go in a different direction. If they go into a slightly different direction, they can't fit it all in.
Yeah.
So what happens to you after that? The movie is seen by, millions and millions of people.
Yes. It might be the most popular movie of all time. Outside of The Wizard of Oz, I swear to God, maybe Star Wars for men, but it's the most popular movie of all time. The amount of people I've talked to over the years, you wouldn't believe it, Bruce. I've talked to so many people you wouldn't believe. I'm from Babylonia, and my wife and I saw Grease, and everybody in the world's seen it pretty much. It's just this huge, it's a phenomenon. It's incredible. Yeah, the effect it's had.
So tell me about the recognition factor, because, here you are thinking, you're in all these scenes, and then when you see it, you're only in a few scenes. And
right. But people still know me from it.
I'm sure you made a difference. I know you made a difference.
Yeah, people still know me from it to this day. Again, I think it's because I look different. I remember that's that guy in that weird suit. They go, it's Eugene. That's how I think they know me, because the part is so small. But I'll tell you how Grease once saved my life, Bruce. This is how you say the recognition factor. It once saved my life. Okay, Bruce, this happened maybe 30 years ago. I'm in Hollywood, okay? And I'm a big reader. I love to read books. That's my greatest joy. And I'm a Beatles fan. So I was reading this great Beatles book. I'm there, and I'm just and I wanted to be left alone. I'm waiting for the bus. And Hollywood, as you know, it's a lonely city. lonely people come up and just talk, and you just realize this is lonely. I'm going to listen to them, blah blah blah. But this is the time I didn't want to be bothered. It was like dusk. It was about 6:30, so I'm reading my book, but I didn't want to be bothered. So I hear a voice from my left. He goes, "What time is it?" Voice from my left. "What time is it?" I go, "It's 6:30." I was very curt. I was very abrupt, downright rude almost. I wanted to convey, please leave me alone. Don't bother me. I don't want to even give you the time. But I said 6:30. So anyway, I thought that was over. Then I hear this voice come from my left. He goes, "Don't you diss me, man." What? "Don't you diss me, man." That's what I heard. "Don't you diss me, man." He said it in the scariest voice I could. So I looked to my left. It's this big gangbanger. This big guy's about 6'4". He's in this black. He looked like one of the T-Birds in Greece. He literally had on a black motorcycle suit. Now, and I had insulted this guy. He could have been from the Bloods and the Crips. He's a killer gang member, but I insulted him. Oh my God, you idiot. So the guy walked away. There's 3 other gang members. There's 4 gang members, all of them like 6'4", 6'5". They all huddle up together. Now, not only could these 4 guys have killed me easy, any one of them could have killed me. Let's take it further. Any one of their girlfriends could have killed me. That's how weak I am. And these guys are huddling up. I go, these guys are going to kill me. They're going to come, and it's Hollywood. We're right out, and I was at a bus stop and drop, but nobody's going to stop. They'll be killing me, and the cars will just go by. Nobody will care. They're going to kill me. I go, maybe they'll just rob me. I had like 130. I go, maybe they'll just take my money and I'll get off easy. So anyway, the guy comes back to me. Please don't kill me. Please don't kill me, mister. I'm praying. He goes, "Hey man, are you the guy in Greece?" Yeah, that's me. I'm Eugene. I was in Greece. That's me. Then he recognized me. So the other guys, then another guy goes out. He goes, "Hey man, Olivia Newton John, is she as hot in real life as she is in the movie?" I go, "Oh yeah, Olivia's beautiful. She's really cute." Da, da, da. So we talked for like 5 minutes, and I answered their Greece questions. They were, we just talked about Greece. Oh my God, please. Luckily, like the cavalry, Bruce, the bus came down. I saw my bus come down. It's tough. Thank God. So I shook hands with all 4 of the guys. "So nice to meet you guys. It was a pleasure." I jumped on the bus and it drove away.
Wow.
Now, as I was in Greece, I think it might have saved my life, or it saved me from a savage beating.
Wow. So what else goes on in your life, over the next several years? Lead me into, you leave that behind, and, you love show business, and you want to keep going. What was the business like for you after that?
Well, I had a bit of a fallow period after Greece came out. Well, first came out was Laser Blast. Then I went to hold you, and then Grease. It came in that order. And it didn't really move me that much. It didn't give me that much momentum. I might have got a few auditions, but I didn't get them. Anyway, about a year later, I went in an audition for one called 1941. Bob Zemeckis knew me from my One Hold You. And One Hold You kind of tanked the box office. It was disappointing. It had a great preview and it got great reviews, but it was just one of those that tanked at the box office. But anyway, they wanted me for 1941. Steven Spielberg's written, and they wanted me, and I didn't even have to audition. So I got cast in 1941 with who? John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd, who were like the biggest comedians in the world at that time, from Saturday Night Live. So I got that role, and we filmed 1941. I think I was on that for like 2 or 3 months. So that was a drag. I met John Candy, who was the nicest guy in the world, and John Belushi was so nice. John Belushi was at the party for I Want to Hold You. We had the premiere in New York, and John was there at the party afterwards, and that's where I met John Belushi. He was sitting alone on a piano bench, and I sat down beside him. We just started talking for like a half hour. He couldn't have been nicer. We were immediate pals. And I didn't know him that well over the years, but that night we were really good friends, and he knew me over the years. And he was in 1941. I got cast in 1941, and there's a lot of great stories of that one. I did that movie. That was the movie. I was on the Ferris wheel. I spent the whole movie on a Ferris wheel with my partner, Murray Hamilton, who Murray was the mayor in Jaws, the sleazy mayor. He was in The Hustler with Paul Newman. He's a great actor. But anyway, we're on the Ferris wheel. One day Spielberg's whipping us around. He's whipping Murray and I around real quick and all. Again, I had motion sick. So I got sick. I said, "Steven, I'm sick." He brought me down. He goes, "Go lay down in my dressing room." So I literally, Steven's secretary took me down and laid me down at Steven Spielberg's bed in his dressing room. I'm like nauseous. So literally, after a couple minutes, I crawl on my hands and knees to the toilet, and I threw up, literally. Then the significance of it hit me. I go, I just threw up in Steven Spielberg's toilet. I threw up in Spielberg's toilet. This is one of the highlights of my career, one of the highlights of my life. And it still is. It's one of the highlights of my life. I get to throw up in Spielberg's toilet.
Oh, God, that's very, that's very funny.
Yeah.
That's very funny. Every once in a while, when somebody brings up an actor, like you brought up John Belushi, and you said he was very nice.
Yes.
Can you give us any more insight into that guy? Because he's one of these mystery guys that wasn't around long enough, and you did work with him in a movie, and you did, have a nice, intimate time with. Is there anything you can share about him that say people don't know or realize about him?
Well, as far as you usually hear the story of John Belushi. What everybody thinks he was funny. He was very confident, funny. You hear these, he was like this drug crazed maniac. He was on all these drugs. He was a druggie like Elvis, taking all these drugs and whatever. But I didn't see that side. I saw a kind man, a gentleman. He was always nice with me. Always. Every time I saw him, I said, "Hi, Eddie." Da, da, da. He was always cordial and friendly to me. Anyway, the last time I saw him, Bruce, this is long after 41. This is like a couple years later, and I had a bad audition. I went into one of those auditions and I went in and nobody laughed. Like I did it in cricket, or it didn't go good. So I came out real depressed. And I was walking around Hollywood. I came out of the studio and I was just walking around. And I seem to remember it was like a big space, like a big field. And who's there? John Belushi. It's just me and John. So I'm there with John Belushi. I say, he goes, "What's wrong?" He goes, "Hi, Eddie." "Hi, John." "What's wrong?" He goes, I was just at this audition and they didn't like me. It was terrible. They didn't laugh at all and they rejected me. And he goes, "They're assholes." He goes, "They're assholes." And then he walked off. That was the last time I saw John Belushi. He goes, "They're assholes." I think it shows what a kind man he was. He was trying to empathize with me. He understood. And whatever you get out of that story, that was what I saw of the real John Belushi. He was kind and empathetic at that moment. He was a nice man.
Tell us about Eddie now. Over the last several years, I know that you do travel around the country. I know that you're in demand at different shows. Tell us a little bit about Eddie now.
Well, I love doing the signing shows. Of course, I was real sick last year, Bruce. I don't even know if you know, but I had a heart operation. I got bad heart trouble, and I was born with a heart murmur. So I did a signing show in Canada, and we were supposed to go home. It was a Sunday, and as luck would have it, my driver overslept that day. Schmendrick, he said the alarm went off, but he pushed it down. He wanted more sleep. He wanted to get more sleep, and he overslept. So I'm thinking, I'm going to miss my plane. Now, you miss your plane, it's no big deal. But remember, I was in Canada. So there's that little bit of fear. You go, "Oh my God, I don't want to be stuck in Canada. I want to get back to the United States." So I was a little scared. Anyway, he gets me at the last minute. He zooms us to the airport. I'm just barely making my plane. I looked at the so I make my So anyway, as luck would have it, my gate was like the last one in the terminal. So I ran all the way down. I was like 61 or 62 and I was tired. My heart felt kind of funny and I got on the plane. I asked the flight attendant, "Can I have a bottle of water?" And she gave me water. I remember I drank the whole water down, right? All the way down. I couldn't feel my breath, I felt funny. Anyway, I got home after that, and then I was under contract to do a Polar Express tour. I did a movie called The Polar Express, and we were on a tour. Now we toured around the country, and we stopped at different places, and the local cast would sing the Polar Express songs, and dress up like the characters, and I would sign autographs and meet fans. It was real fun. But I did this, and all the time I did it, I was having trouble with my heart. I didn't know I thought I was going to die. So I was really grasping for breath, and I would do every night, but somehow I got through the thing. I was under contract, so I had to do my contract. And we traveled to, New York, Maryland, West Virginia, Florida, Texas. We were all over the place, and I went to every city, and the people were wonderful, but I had the secret. I was really sick. I thought I was going to die. So I got home, and I said, "Listen, I better go to the hospital. Something's wrong." And I went in. They found out I have a heart murmur. Bruce, when I had ran the airport, the doctor told me I tore out one of the aortas, or one of the vessels out of my heart. I literally tore it out, and my heart was leaking blood into my head. Literally, there was blood leaking into my head. And I was feeling woozy and spinning all the time. He said, "That's why you felt that way. There was blood rushing into your head every day." And somehow I survived a couple months of this,
Wow.
Anyway, I got my heart operation. They did a heart thing. They fixed my heart. It was fine. But I was allergic to a drug they gave me, a drug called Heparin. And that set in these horrible complications. I went crippled. I couldn't walk. Literally, this was for a couple months, Bruce. I was in bed and I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't walk. They wanted to bathe me, they would come in, the nurse would give me a sponge bath bed, and they gave me a bed pan for the bathroom. So I was in the bed for a couple months. I worked my way up, really hard, and I got to be in a wheelchair. I was in a wheelchair for a month or two, whatever. And I got to where I could walk in a walker, and then I used a cane. And finally, I worked myself up so I could walk again. But it was a horrible period of my life. In the hospital, like a lot of last year. I'm all better now. Okay, I'm 100% better now. That's the point. And and I do signing shows around the country now, since then. But I thought I was a goner. I thought I was really gone last year. So it's been a happy year for me. I've come back this year.
Wow. So you were one of the voices on Polar Express?
Yes, I was on Polar Express. Tom Hanks was my favorite actor. I didn't know he was in it. I got an audition for this movie called Polar Express. They called me in. Now, I did that movie I told you called I Want to Hold Your Hand. In 1978, that was Robert Zemeckis' first one. Bob Zemeckis, the best director I ever worked with. He's doing this movie called Polar Express. He wrote in a role for me, literally called Know It All. This smart ass, wise guy, this mean kid, this jerky guy, and he wrote in for me. So I
Oh
went in and
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
Know It All. Look, I went all those presents, give me those presents, Santa Claus. That was me. So I got
yeah,
to do that. I
yeah,
didn't know until the
yeah.
first day Tom Hanks was in it. I got the role and I was happy. So I went in the studio. They took me in, and then Tom Hanks comes to balance it out. There's a room of us. I swear to God, Bruce, there's like 200 people. Tom Hanks comes bouncing out. He comes to me for, hi Eddie, I'm Tom. Tom, no shit, Sherlock. You know, are you serious? Tom Hanks coming, he shakes my hand first and on. He was the nicest guy you could imagine. I worked on the Polish Fest for like 2 or 3 months, and it was just 10
Wow.
weeks. And he was the nicest guy ever. We finished the film, Bruce. I could tell you a million Polish Fest, but we finished the film the last day of shooting. But Eddie, I hear you're a baseball fan. Yeah, I love baseball. I'm a Pirates fan. Do you want to come to a Dodger game with me? Sit in my box seat. Are you fucking serious? You know, so he took me to 3 Dodger games. I sat in his box seats with Tom Hanks and we talked. And he just was the greatest guy in the world. He's a big player. He would keep score of the games like a kid. He'd keep score, you know, da-da-da, got a double and da-da-da. And he sang the national anthem together. And it was a wonderful, joyous experience.
Wow, isn't that something? Great to hear. Great to hear. So,
Yeah.
is there anything else you'd like to leave us with? Is there a way people can get in touch with you, or they can
Well,
find you these days?
yeah, there's a computer page for me on the web. It's called EddieDeezen.com. My uncle Leo runs it. I don't get involved in that much, but if you want to communicate, you can always communicate through that or order a picture from there. I think my picture's like $20, so it's not that much. So I send you a signed picture. Also, I'm a Facebook nut, as you know, Bruce. I live for Facebook. Every morning I write jokes all through the day and I post them on Facebook. That's my joy. I love trivia. I'll write trivia and, you know, I write what happened to me that day. I have my 5,000 friends. They're like my family. I can't tell you how much I love these people. And they're like my family. We communicate every day. I love to go to other people's pages and read what they write. Oh, what's Alice gonna write? What's this guy gonna write? What's my other friend? And I look at people's pages and it's my joy. Facebook's my joy. That's what I do every day.
So, when you do a personal appearance, you have a pretty good built-in group of people. Even though Facebook is widely spread out, you probably have a pretty good built-in group of people that come and see you.
Pretty much, yeah. I always have my own little following. I'm not, you know, I'm not a star or anything, but I've always been like a little cult figure. I've always had a little cult group that follows me. And yeah, they'll go to these shows. Yeah.
That's great. Well,
Yeah,
Eddie,
they're fun.
I appreciate you taking the time to do this show with me here. Many thanks to Stephen Joyner, who we're both involved with,
Stevie's a great guy. Yeah.
publicist and manager and things. So this was a great show. I really appreciate you being on it. And I certainly wish you the very, very best in the future. And again, thanks so much for doing the show.
Well, let me say this to you. You're a wonderful, nice guy, Bruce. You're a great guy. I wish you continued success with your show. And it was my pleasure being interviewed by you. You're a total gentleman. You're a wonderful man. I'll see you on Facebook.
Absolutely. God bless. God bless you, Eddie. And everybody, thank you so much for watching this show. Have a great time. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Take care. Bye, Bruce.
Bye-bye, Eddie. Now, a quick word from one of our sponsors. I've been told by a lot of the comedians I knew and represented during the 80s, I looked the same as I did 40 years ago. And come to think of it, I still have my thick brown hair and just a few wrinkles. But most importantly for me, by simply applying the completely safe human growth hormone homeopathic gel on my skin just 2 times a day, the depression and panic attacks I suffered from years ago were gone in just 2 weeks. And then I started deep sleeping for many hours at night. You know, you can have the gel work for you too. To find out more, contact me at bruce@brucestarproductions.com.